Hello everybody, welcome back to another video game analysis. And today, now I will admit, this probably isn't the longest of all videos, but something I want to explain, maybe it's not, I don't know, I don't know yet, but, point is, maybe this isn't probably going to be the most interesting to many, but it's something I really want to talk about, because there's a lot of people that I've met, and I am one of those people who starts exploring with consoles and whatnot, and it's hard, and they find it hard to adjust to different controllers, and I perfectly agree with that and understand that, so we're going to delve into that a little bit, and I've overcome that in the past, and I want to talk about how, and I'm going to talk about what the modern gaming has done to introduce easier ways of getting used to new controllers, because in the very first episode of this series, I've talked about the evolution of the controller, so if you want more information on that, you can go there. It's not the best of videos, but it's a video, and, yeah. So, like I said, I did discuss the evolution of the controller, but something I should explain beforehand is, how do controllers move forward? What is it that makes these controllers evolve? Well, it's pretty obvious, and it goes with many things. For one thing, what makes the controller evolve is when a console is successful. They see that the controller is the most important part of the game. The true experience of a game is how good the controller is and how much it can provide for you for your gaming experience. Because if you can't control the game, chances are you're not going to like it very much, even if it's the best game in the universe. Like if Super Mario Bros. Had horrible controls, we'd probably not like it all that much. Let's be honest here. But like I was saying before, the NES here I think was a very logical step forward from a successful console like the Atari. 5200, 7200, 6200, not the 1500, that had a horrible controller. That's why, see, that was my point. That's why 5200 failed. It was the controller. But getting back to the point, they added one more button from the Atari, so it can do more daring things in their games, like adding an action button as well as a jumping button or something. And instead of the joystick, which would frequently break, they made it a creative idea and added a D-pad. That's pretty cool, and the directional buttons are very simple to understand and very simple to move that way. And we see that evolve with the Sega Genesis controller. Come on, there we go. It's another logical step forward where the D-pad has more details into it. It has the diagonal movement as well as the up, down, left, right. The start button's a little more of a convenient space, and they added another C button. A third button, maybe to do more actions. Of course, honestly, with the Genesis, I never really seen that in action all that much. It has happened where all three control buttons were used, and very wisely, but this is where the development of controllers comes from, and that's what we need to talk about first. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way first, because it's important to understand. Of course, practice and memorization will help, but that's only half the battle. You have to also realize a couple of points I'm going to make next, but also what my first point before. You have to be sure you know why games evolve, controllers evolve, and why they become more and more successful, and why we have a very standardized version of it today. So let's move on from there with more modern look at it. In my opinion, I think the beginning of the modern controller is with the Super Nintendo. And the reason I say this is because of two things. The way it positions its face buttons and the creation of shoulder buttons. You see, this is something that helps out a ton in getting used to new controllers, is the fact that this pattern is remaining constant with new controllers. And its predecessor, the Nintendo 64's controller, also kept true with this, even though it added its two other buttons with the C buttons, but we never seen that again. The PlayStation controller is another great example of this. It even added the analog sticks introduced with the N64 controller as well. So it's more similarities, it's more adaptations to the controller, and making it different with each console, and it's really interesting to look at that kind of stuff. And Sony, what I like about their controllers is they have the "if it's not broken, don't fix it" mentality. I really like that, and it's just something that helps you understand the controllers and their differences a little more. So yeah, like it is good to understand the modern perspective here because we had years of the controller evolution as I previously explained a long time ago, and with that evolution comes a point where standardized stuff happens. You'll have a little innovative idea like the gamepad's touchscreen or the PS4's touchpad, and yeah, it can move on clearly from there. And just one more thing I want to say before we go about getting used to controllers. What made me realize how to do it in a more physical kind of way. So all of this leading up to here, the modern game controller, an excellent example of that is the 360 controller, and the Xbox One controller is a very nice step up from that. I love the ergonomic qualities of the Xbox controllers; they're very nice. But here I want to use this as an example to show because it's a very clean, simple controller. We can show a couple of things. What you really want to do when you look at a controller that will help out immensely along with the things I've talked about before is don't look at it as the A, B, X, Y button or R1, R2, all that. Label it as something that's true for all controllers, even controllers that aren't as traditional as the 360 controller here. Think of the face buttons not as A, B, X, Y, but as an up, down, left, and right button, or the bottom is typically a jump, left is typically an action command, B is typically an attack command, and Y is typically another action command, stuff like that. Depends on what your control scheme is. Think of the left analog stick as left analog stick, right as right, D-pad, and when you do it that way and you label it that way, all you have really are simply are simply controllers. It's so much simpler to look at what is similar and just map it out in your mind rather than thinking of it as, okay, these are different controllers, I got to figure this out. For less traditional controllers here, it's just all about how well designed it is. Like the Wii U gamepad is easier to understand because even though it has a touchscreen on it, it does have traditional control scheme like the face buttons and the analog stick. The Wiimote and the nunchuck were just well designed. The buttons were all right at your fingertips, and if you're gonna go non-traditional, that's the way to do it. But again, you can still label each one of the buttons for your convenience. So yeah, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Next time, we're going to have the finale of the season. And we are going to discuss a topic I've wanted to do for a while. We're going to analyze what Pokemon training would be like in real life. I think it'll be a cool hypothetical and a nice way to end the season. So it's gone really fast, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Before I go to the end slate, I just want to say I'm sorry for any weird editing things going on, like awkward things. It's just I just updated my video editor, and it's very drastically different than the old one. And while I do love the improvements, I'm still learning. So and it is easier to use, but I just want to let you know I apologize. I'm gonna do as much as I can. I'm gonna get better and better at this. So I hope you don't mind. So yeah, let's get back to the normal stuff. So thank you all so much for watching. If I missed anything, if there's anything I got wrong, if there's anything you'd like to add, please don't hesitate to mention in a comment. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Billy, your video game analyzer. Have a good day, good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you next time.